Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing great. We're going to have a coffee. It's the morning. I'm going to flip the camera around so you can, what I'm seeing right now, beautiful sunrise. We're going to talk about the Federal Reserve and we're going to talk about what just happened. Actually, it didn't just happen. Why? Because I'm filming this beforehand because I don't care what they do with the rates. I know that sounds crazy, but we're going to explain that right now because there's all these news stories right now from, all the media outlets. 4 things to watch when the Fed delivers its rate hike decision. What will the Fed do next? Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what they're going to do. And then we can see this play out in real time. And it's quite exciting, to be honest with you, because Jerome Powell just gave you the shot across the bow. He told you the truth. I know it sounds crazy because politicians and bankers are politicians. They seem to speak, in one direction and talk out the other side at the same time. And what is happening is the Fed, they say, are between a rock and a hard place. And that is true. They are. They have 2 decisions. They're going to only make one, but they have 2 options. Sorry. And that is to don't let the dollar die. Keep it strong. Keep it viable, right? Just keep it, falling, collapsing, just a little bit better looking than all the other currencies around the world because inflation is causing that currency to become null and void slowly with the higher inflation rate. And it's actually not really moving slowly anymore. The dollar keeps losing its status, not only as the reserve currency of the world, but also as a good store of value for any human being. Anybody that wakes up one day and goes, oh my gosh, the canned peas keep going up, or oh my gosh, the gasoline keeps going up. Over the long term, don't look at these slight little, nuances or these little changes like in the gasoline prices because there's some relief or there's a little bit of relief in the lumber prices. What you're seeing is, by and large, you're seeing everything slowly come up, right? Because the Fed has lost control. And so they have that. They have to hold on to the dollar, keep the dollar, or to save the economy, right? Save jobs and save the economy from absolutely collapsing, save the stock market. Well, the problem is they can't have both. They can't have it both ways. So what's the best thing? What would be the best thing if you were the Federal Reserve? And I'd love for you guys to put down in the comments. It sounds crazy, but think it if you were in their situation, what would you do? Well, let's talk about a fact. The Federal Reserve makes money. They just make it. They just go, hold my beer, watch this. You want $1 billion? Boom, pop it out. You want $1 trillion? Crap, it's there. That's what they do, right? So it's really important. It's really powerful. Like I can just make money. I could make it. I could take it away. It's like what your parents used to say. I brought you into this world and I can take you out. It's exactly what the Fed thinks about the currency. Pieces of paper that have no value other than what you value it. You value that currency. Oh man, if I go out and get that raise, I can make more money and I can buy more stuff. That's the only reason why you believe the money has value, right? It's not backed by anything. It's not like you could turn it in, exchange it for gold with the Fed or with the government. You can't do that anymore. So it's just, and the funny thing is, ironically, you could go take some money right now and go buy gold with it or, things, but people just usually don't, by and large, right? So that's a really powerful tool to be able to just make money out of nothing. Just make it, take it away. And then on the other side, it's save the economy. Well, what's interesting is what people don't realize is the Federal Reserve, like I said, Jerome Powell said, you're about to experience pain, and he means it. Why does he mean that? Because he is going to continue to raise rates. Now, I always thought that it was going to be the flip side, that they were going to try and save the economy. And I know there's a turning point. There is a turning point. We're going to talk about it in a second. But he has said that they are going to continue to raise rates aggressively to get on top of inflation. Now, we know that is not true. We know that they're not going to be aggressive enough. Right now, real inflation, if you look at shadowstats.com, John Williams' site, it proves that we're in well over double-digit inflation. So they would have to raise the federal funds rate to around close to or just a little above, depending on what mortgages are doing, credit card debt, things like that. They would have to move it just a little bit right around that area to quell inflation. That's the way I always script the word quell. And we know they're not going to do that, right? They're just pissing in the wind right now with these interest rates. But the problem is because interest rates are so low on a percentage basis, when you go from 0 to 1%, that's a big percentage gain, right? That adds a lot of extra payments, a lot of extra, monthly debt load or, servicing, for lack of better terms, to everybody's debt, including the government, right? So they are going to keep raising until something breaks. Now, that's when they pivot. When the economy breaks, when unemployment skyrockets due to the stock market collapsing, right? And we're talking about well over 25%. When that move happens, the Fed will pivot because they'll have no choice. There's no like, we get to choose. Right now, they get to choose. Because if you've seen, what we just experienced in the spring was a lot of pain. People saw literally 25% losses in their 401ks and their TSP accounts and, all these different accounts. But it wasn't enough. It didn't break the back. Why? Because it had such a meteoric rise in the last couple of years. So people went, yeah, that sucks. I just lost a lot of value, but I'm still up in the last few years, right? So, especially since 2016, very important date. So what's going to happen is they are going to pivot the second the markets roll over big time. The problem is that they're going to roll over fast this time because the old adage is very true. Bulls climb upstairs and bears jump out of windows. And just imagine that as a bull is walking up the stairs, up and then goes across, just like a systematic bull run. But when a bear market starts and jumps out, panic ensues and the plummets. What we saw in 2008 was pretty amazing. Just even the 7% drop on the Dow the day Lehman Brothers closed their doors, which actually was a down day for the Dow, which equaled 777 points. That's a weird coincidence. 777 points, 777 equaled 7% loss in the Dow that day. And it was exactly 7 years prior to the last crash during 9/11. Interesting, just really interesting times we live in. And when that drop happened, then systematically a little dead cat bounce, another massive drop, dead cat bounce, another massive drop, and then it just took off eventually 50% of the Dow Jones Industrial Average, or right around, roughly. But the point being is this, whatever happens, and I'm going to give you my prediction, right? This video will probably be out before the Fed comes out. And regardless, I'll still post it. I think they're going to come across between, 75 basis points, and they might even do 1% to really show, because they already did 75 basis points in the past, to really show how strong it is. The problem with that 1%, if they go over the agreed upon or believed upon 75 basis points, then they could shock the markets, right? Markets pretty much believe that we're going to see 75 basis points. But that would be impressive. It's crazy to think that the Federal Reserve has no balls anymore, because the difference between 25 basis points right now in a raise could shock the markets, whereas Paul Volcker had to go big time, really. And it's going to be exciting times. But like I've said before, and I'll say it again, the fall starts in the fall. The fall started, on the 1st of September? And then I believe it starts, astrological fall, I believe starts around 23rd of September. And you are going to see more rapidly changes, right? And this whole next year, you're going to see, I said the fall starts in the fall, and then this next year, going from September to September, is going to be unbelievable. Your mouth will drop when you see the changes in the economy. So let's put it this way. None of this is financial advice. But what am I doing? I'm building up cash. I'm still investing in some mining companies because I know that the commodities boom and precious metals are going to keep finding a bottom in the paper prices, right? Not in the physical, because premiums keep exploding because people know what's coming. But I'm still building a cash position and investing in mining stocks, things like that. But I'm doing it because I know once it finds its bottom, it will find its bottom and take off, because when the Fed pivots, when they start to inject liquidity into the system to not only bail out their own financial institutions, but also they will be sprinkling money amongst the peasants. And I mean that I hope it upsets people and wakes them up and goes, I don't want to be in this class anymore. I want to be wealthy, right? And how do you get wealth? Well, you pay off debt. You now are not a slave to the lender, and you start buying real assets. You start paying off debt like your home, your car, things like that. And then you start buying real assets like gold, water, oil, things like that. Exactly what the wealthy do. And then you take advantage of the upswing, because they're going to stimulate that economy. And as they print money to do it, it will hyperinflate certain assets. And those assets, I believe, are God's money, gold and silver, But the problem is, this is the long game. We're talking 6 months to a year out. It could find its bottom just like it did after Lehman Brothers, about 6-8 weeks later, once the announcement comes out that they are going to start injecting liquidity to rescue the economy because they spent too much time trying to rescue the dollar. So guys, I hope you got something out of this. I'm going to post it regardless of when I can today. Based on the Fed's decision, I'm still going to post it because I believe these words are true. And if you are patient and peaceful and building that position, both in paying off debt, buying your base precious metals to hedge against inflation, but also having a core cash position, because during the quick crash that can last up to like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks of fear, there's a lot of deals you're able to buy with your cash. All right, guys, with that being said, I thank you so much for watching. The Economic Ninja is out.